Every time you lose focus, someone gets richer. Your distraction isn't random. It's monetized. Each click, each scroll, each emotional reaction feeds a system that survives on your scattered mind. They don't need to control what you think, only how long you think about it. You're not unfocused by nature. You've been trained to stay distracted. And the darker truth? You volunteered for it. But if you can reverse engineer the same psychology that steals your focus, you can weaponize it and become the kind of mind that no system can manipulate. Stay till the end of this video, and I'll show you 9 dark psychological principles used by elite minds, CEOs, spies, philosophers, and strategists to transform scattered thought into surgical precision. These are not productivity hacks. They're mental reprogramming protocols that dismantle distraction from the inside out. By the time we're done, you won't just learn to focus. You'll understand how focus itself is engineered and how to turn your mind into a structure that can't be hijacked. Here's what you'll uncover. The dopamine trap, how chemical addiction drives distraction. The power of stillness, why silence dominates chaos. Time manipulation, the art of slowing perception to outthink anyone. Emotional detachment, using calmness as a weapon of focus. Strategic observation, reading patterns like a predator, not a prey. Narrative control, shaping perception without words. Cognitive minimalism, clearing mental clutter until clarity becomes lethal. Each one is a blade, and together, they forge the mind of a focus strategist. But before we sharpen these tools, you must see the truth about how your focus was stolen in the first place. Focus isn't lost, it's taken. Piece by piece, scroll by scroll, thought by thought. Every second you react emotionally, you feed systems designed to keep you chasing stimulation instead of direction. Your attention has been converted into currency, and you are the product. But here's where it flips. The same mechanics that exploit your focus can be used to reclaim it. If you can understand the dark architecture of attention, you can turn distraction into discipline. That's what this video is, a manual for mental sovereignty. The question is, will you learn to command it, or continue feeding the system that profits from your chaos? If your goal is to escape the attention economy, to stop being the product and start being the architect, subscribe right now, because this channel doesn't teach motivation. It teaches psychological warfare. Type this in the comments. My attention is currency. I decide who spends it. Now that you've seen who profits from your distraction, it's time to learn how they built your addiction. Principle number 1, the dopamine trap. Your distraction isn't random. It's chemical. Every time you scroll, tap refresh, or react, you trigger a molecule that rewards chaos. It's called dopamine, and it's the currency of control. They don't need to chain your body. They only need to hijack your chemistry. The brain was built for survival, for a quick burst of excitement, curiosity, and novelty. But modern technology, it learned how to farm those bursts. Each notification, each endless feed, is a psychological slot machine, engineered to keep you guessing, hoping, craving one more hit. This is called intermittent reinforcement. It's the same mechanism that keeps gamblers glued to machines and rats pressing levers until exhaustion. Every ding, every buzz, every swipe tells your brain there might be a reward this time. And when the reward doesn't come, the craving intensifies. You're not lazy. You're addicted, not to entertainment, but to the anticipation of reward. That's how dopamine turns thinkers into reactors and strategists into consumers. In the 1950s, psychologist B.F. Skinner ran an experiment. He placed pigeons in a box with a lever that occasionally dropped food. Not every time, just sometimes. The result? The pigeons pressed the lever nonstop. Even when starving, even when exhausted. They became obsessed with the maybe. Fast forward to now. Your phone is the lever. Your apps are the box. And your mind? It's the pigeon. But here's the difference between you and the pigeon. You can choose to step out of the box. You don't break the dopamine trap by deleting everything. You break it by starving the loop. Every time you resist the urge to check your phone, your brain panics. It craves that hit. But that craving, that discomfort, is proof you're regaining control. Because power doesn't come from stimulation. It comes from deprivation. Each moment you deny the loop, you sharpen your ability to wait. And the mind that can wait can rule. Comment this. I control the loop. The loop does not control me. But the loop doesn't just control what you crave. It controls when you act. And that brings us to the next principle. The one most people overlook, but every strategist understands instinctively. It's not movement that wins wars. It's stillness. Principle number 2, the power of stillness. In a world obsessed with reaction, stillness is rebellion. The loudest room belongs to the quietest mind, because when everyone moves without thinking, the one who waits sees everything. They call it hesitation, but the ancient strategists called it timing. Stillness isn't an action, it's tactical delay. When you slow your response, you enter a state called meta-awareness. You stop being part of the chaos and start observing it. In that gap between impulse and action, you gain total control. That's where emotion ends and strategy begins. Most people fear silence because it reveals the truth, but you'll learn to use it as a weapon. That's the power of stillness. It turns their noise into your mirror. There's an ancient story of a samurai, known not for his sword, but for his silence. Before every duel, his enemies would shout, taunt, provoke, anything to make him act first. But he never did. He just stood there, breathing, watching, letting their anger eat itself alive. When they finally struck, they were already defeated because they had surrendered their calm. That's the rule. The first act emotionally is the first to lose control. When you master stillness, people begin to project meaning into your silence. They'll think you're angry, or plotting, or dangerous. Let them, because the human mind hates a void, and silence creates one so deep that others fill it with their own fears. You don't need to speak to control a room. You only need to make others listen to their own thoughts. That's real influence. Not force, not manipulation, just presence sharpened into command. Comment, my silence is strategy, my calm is control. But there's something deeper than stillness, something the powerful have always known, and the weak never master. It's not about stopping time, it's about bending it. Because once you understand time, you stop chasing it and make others chase you. Principle number 3, time manipulation. Most people are prisoners of time. They run, chase, panic. But the strategist, he bends it. He knows one truth. That control over time perception is control over power itself. Because when you make others rush, they stop thinking. And when you slow down, you start seeing patterns they can't. That's how manipulators win. Not by being faster, but by making everyone else impatient. There's a hidden law in dark psychology. The first to react loses leverage. The one who controls pace controls outcome. Time manipulation isn't about clocks. It's about psychological tempo. You pause during silence. You delay responses. You control when and how energy moves in a conversation. The mind hates uncertainty. So when you slow time, people reveal themselves trying to fill it. They talk too much. They reveal their plans. They expose their weaknesses. All because they can't stand stillness. That's when you strike, not with speed, but with precision. There's a story of a chess grandmaster who always took the full clock. His opponents grew frustrated, restless. They thought he was overthinking, but he wasn't. He was conditioning their impatience. By move 30, they were burning energy, rushing their plays, trying to speed him up. He didn't move faster. He waited until they lost rhythm. Then one move, checkmate. He didn't beat them in chess. He beat them in time. To manipulate time is to control human rhythm. You can stretch seconds into pressure or collapse hours into calm. When you appear unhurried, others question their urgency. When you delay, they assume you're planning something deeper. When you disappear, they start waiting for you. And that is the highest form of psychological leverage, because the one who waits without fear is the one everyone else reacts to. Say it softly. I don't chase time. I command it. But here's the paradox. Controlling time is only half the game, because even with perfect timing, you'll lose if your emotions betray your plan. The next principle reveals the secret art of emotional detachment, how to stay calm while others burn. That's how a scattered thinker becomes a focused predator. Principle number 4, the cold mind. Fire consumes the reckless, but ice shapes the world. Emotion blinds faster than any enemy. The cold mind doesn't fight feelings. It observes them, because when your emotions are calm, your perception sharpens. And in that clarity, you stop reacting and start orchestrating. That's how you win battles, without lifting a sword. The average person lets emotion define direction. Anger, envy, fear, all reactions, non-strategic. But the strategist knows. Emotion is data. It's a signal, not an order. When someone provokes you, they're not testing your strength. They're testing your composure. The cold mind watches emotion, like a scientist watches fire, from behind glass. Because once you can see your emotions, without becoming them, you become untouchable. There was once an emperor, known for never showing anger. Rivals mocked him. Traitors tested him, but he never reacted. One day, a soldier spat at his feet. The court gasped, waiting for punishment. The emperor simply looked at the man and said, "Your actions reflect you, not me." Then he turned away, unmoved, unbothered. That moment spread faster than any execution, because the empire realized nothing was more terrifying than a ruler who couldn't be provoked. The cold mind isn't heartless. It's focused. It doesn't suppress emotion. It channels it. Fear becomes foresight. Anger becomes discipline. Pain becomes precision. Because emotion is just raw energy. And the cold mind decides where that energy goes. The world worships passion, but it obeys composure. Whisper this. I don't react. I redirect. But even a cold mind can be cornered unless it learns the next dark principle. Because intelligence without manipulation is like a sword without a hand to wield it. Principle number 5, the art of psychological framing. Reality doesn't exist in facts. It exists in frames. The one who defines a story controls the outcome, because perception isn't truth. It's architecture. And when you learn to build that architecture, you don't need to win arguments. You just redefine what winning means. Framing is the invisible art of influence. It's not about what's said, it's about how it's presented. The human brain doesn't see the world as it is. It sees it through context. You can make failure look like growth. You can make power look like humility. You can even make manipulation look like care. If your framing is strong enough, every politician, CEO, and strategist uses this law. Control the frame, control the crowd. In 1983, a negotiator faced a hostage crisis. The suspect refused to surrender. Angry, paranoid, convinced he'd already lost everything. Instead of arguing, the negotiator reframed the story. He said, "You're not surrendering, you're saving your story." The suspect paused. The frame shifted. He wasn't losing anymore. He was choosing how history would remember him. Minutes later, he walked out alive. Nothing changed except perception. And perception changes everything. In every conversation, the first to set the frame becomes a reference point for truth. If someone calls you cold, reframe it as calm. If they call you calculating, reframe it as strategic. Because perception is elastic, it stretches toward whoever speaks with certainty. The weak defend themselves. The powerful redefine themselves. That's how you turn narrative into leverage. Say it silently. I don't argue for control. I define it. But remember, even the perfect frame can collapse if your words don't match your presence. Because true influence doesn't end in speech. It lives in energy. Principle number 6, the energy signature. Some people walk into a room, and it changes, not because they talk, but because they radiate something. That invisible field, the quiet force that bends emotion, tension, and attention, is your energy signature. It's the frequency your mind broadcasts before your mouth ever speaks. And in dark psychology, it's one of the deadliest forms of influence. Every mind emits cues: tone, posture, rhythm, breath. Others feel them before they understand them. That's why some people instantly command respect, and others instantly fade into background noise. It's not charisma. It's emotional gravity. The energy signature of a focused strategist is calm, slow, deliberate. It pulls others into rhythm. It dictates tempo without a word. You can't fake this, because the subconscious doesn't listen to words. It listens to state. When Nikola Tesla spoke, he often paused before answering, long enough to make people uncomfortable. But that silence wasn't hesitation. It was calibration. He let his stillness amplify the weight of his next words. Every pause made people lean in. His energy wasn't loud, it was magnetic, and it made even the proudest minds second-guess their certainty. That's the secret. True power doesn't seek attention. It commands it effortlessly. You broadcast your state before you ever speak. If you're anxious, they feel it. If you're grounded, they follow it. So before every meeting, conflict, or decision, reset your energy. Slow your breathing. Relax your shoulders. Lower your tone, because calm energy is contagious, and chaos is repelled by composure. That's how the strategist conquers rooms, not through dominance, but through emotional regulation so strong. It reprograms the atmosphere. Type in the comments, "My calm changes rooms. My energy commands silence." But even the strongest energy needs protection, because when you emit power, you attract envy, resistance, and chaos. The next principle reveals how to defend your mental territory, like an invisible fortress, so nothing breaks your focus or leaks your strength. Principle number 7, mental territory control. Your mind is a kingdom. Every thought, emotion, and impulse is either a soldier that defends it or a spy that weakens it. And if you don't guard your mental territory, someone else will occupy it for you. Control begins not with power, but with protection, because focus is a fortress, and distraction is the breach. Most people leave their minds unguarded. They scroll, react, absorb. Every notification steals attention. Every opinion becomes noise. Every insult plants doubt. But mental territory control means you choose what enters your consciousness and what gets turned away at the gate. In psychology, this is called cognitive sovereignty. It's the power to control what you process. And once you master it, you stop being a participant in noise and become an observer of it. An old story tells a general who meditated before every battle. One day, an enemy spy tried to distract him, whispering rumors of betrayal within his camp. The general opened his eyes and said, "If it is true, it will reveal itself. If it's false, it dies in silence." Then he closed his eyes again. The spy left defeated, not because the general resisted him, but because he refused to entertain him. That's mental territory control. You don't silence noise. You starve it. To master focus, you must treat attention like currency. Every minute you spend reacting is a resource stolen from your strategy. Guard your thoughts. Audit your inputs. Decide what deserves emotional energy and what dies at the border of your awareness. Because the world doesn't break your focus with force. It breaks it with distraction. And distraction is just attention without direction. Say this with conviction. My mind is my territory. Nothing enters uninvited. But protection alone isn't mastery, because what you defend must also expand. In the next principle, you'll learn how to weaponize your focus, how to turn clarity into command, and stillness into strategy. Principle number 8, the focus weapon. Focus isn't calm. It's concentrated aggression. When you weaponize your focus, you don't chase control. You radiate it, because true power isn't in reacting to the world. It's in forcing the world to react to you. This is what most never understand. Focus is not peace. It's precision. And precision dominates. When you direct full attention at one thing, you create a gravitational pull. People feel it. Energy bends around it. And resistance dissolves. That's why a calm person in chaos seems terrifying. Their focus makes everyone else's noise feel like weakness. Your focus tells the world, I decide what matters here. And that decision, repeated daily, builds an aura of inevitability. Psychologists call it dominant attention control. It's what separates leaders from followers, strategists from reactors, and predators from prey. A sculptor was once asked, how do you carve something so perfect from stone? He smiled and said, I don't carve. I remove everything that isn't the masterpiece. That's how focus works. You don't add more effort. You subtract distraction. You chip away everything that isn't aligned until what remains is sharp enough to cut through reality. Weaponized focus isn't about doing more. It's about doing less, but with lethal precision. When your focus sharpens, you begin to radiate clarity. People sense it in your silence. They hesitate before speaking. They second guess before challenging, because power doesn't always speak. Sometimes it simply stares. And in that stillness, you control the tempo of every room you enter. Focus turns from a skill into a field, a force that commands attention without asking for it. That's the weapon. Not chaos, not volume, but controlled intensity. Whisper this. My focus is a weapon. My silence is its edge. But there's one more evolution, because even the sharpest weapon is useless without direction. In the final principle, you'll learn how to aim that power, not at people, but at destiny itself. Principle number 9, the law of strategic destiny. Power isn't luck. It's design. Every empire, every legend, every mind that bent the world to its will did one thing differently. They didn't wait for destiny. They engineered it. This is the final transformation, when you stop reacting to life and start architecting it. Scattered thinkers chase purpose. Strategic minds build it. They reverse engineer the future, working backward from the outcome until the path becomes inevitable. This is called strategic inevitability, a concept used by high-level operatives, elite entrepreneurs, and even generals. You create so many micro-advantages that failure becomes mathematically impossible, while others pray for clarity. You design systems that make success a default state. That's the law of strategic destiny. You don't follow the path. You build it under your own feet. In the early 1900s, a military strategist was asked, how do you always seem to predict the enemy's move? He replied, I don't predict. I pre-design their reaction by shaping the environment they move through. That's how true strategists win. They don't respond. They orchestrate. Every decision you make, every boundary you enforce, every silence you maintain creates ripples that push people exactly where you want them to go. That's not manipulation. That's directional focus. The scattered thinker asks, what's happening to me? The strategist whispers, what's happening because of me? That's the shift. You go from participant to architect, from reacting to life to writing its blueprint. And the deeper truth, when your mind becomes that clear, destiny starts obeying your design, because the universe aligns with those who move like they already know where they're going. Say it quietly. I don't chase purpose. I build destiny. Now look closely. You didn't just learn psychology. You learn command. You learn how to transform chaos into control, silence into strategy, and focus into power. But here's the truth. The mind only stays sharp when it's fed. So if this journey redefined how you think, if you felt your mind evolve, then subscribe now, not to follow, but to train, to keep evolving with the few who see what others can't. Comment the word architect, because that's what you become. Visual fades. A single chess piece stand alone as light floods aboard. This isn't the end. It's your beginning as the mind that commands itself. And through it, the world.